Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to From the Ashes Shorts. We are here today to talk about Star Trek and their factions, and we are going to continue the tier list with this fourth episode, this fourth installment of this tier list. And joining me today, as always, my dear friends, Zombie. Zombie, how you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad.
That's good. It feels like I just heard you say that. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyways, and Raven is here with us as well. What's going on, brother? How are you?
You know what? If I was any better, I'd be eating a hot dog, eating a chili dog.
Dang, now I want a chili dog, and it's still morning for me. So,
Uh,
why would you do this to me? You know what? Because you said that, I'm gonna force you to do the recap.
mhm.
So, as he
Uh-huh.
does the recap, you will see up on the tube of views the recap. So go for
Well, I promise you, I'm going to screw this up. So here we go.
it.
In S tier, we have the Klingons. In A tier, we have the Borg and the Romulans. In B tier, we have the Ferengi. In C tier, we have the Undine, the Breen. I don't remember that one.
So in C tier
Jump
we have the Gorn.
Gorn.
At the top we have Breen second. We have the Undine third, and then we have the Orion Syndicate and dead last in C tier. And that
That's
brings us
right.
to D tier, who is who?
Which is the Nausicaans. The
The
Nausicaans. That one I remember.
Nausicaans. Yes.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna say I'm glad we used the D tier, but I feel like it would have, we had to use the D tier for someone, right?
Yeah.
So and we still have 4 left. For all we know, down the road, Raven may want to put the Federation down in D tier. Who knows? We'll
Hey!
see.
Why are you spoiling it for everybody?
We talked about this.
I'm sorry. He's not doing that, I promise.
That's what you think.
So
He's not now.
not
now,
gosh.
yeah. Now that you called me out on it.
I forced his hand. Anyways, so this episode we're talking strictly about the Dominion, Cardassians, and the Terran Empire. And to begin, we're going to talk about the Dominion, and I definitely want to hear Zombie's take on this. So, Zombie, let's start with you, man.
Okay. So obviously there's a decent bit of information about the Dominion. From DS9.
Voyager.
Yeah. I was like, I can't actually yeah. Well, my brain just went doo for a second. So I had their military might way up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are obviously a very strong military force. I had their territory up there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you got that strong of a military, you're not just going to sit on it.
Right.
You're going to do something with it. And same with their technology. Their technology was really high, really good. I had their adaptability is fairly low. Because I feel that they were kind of like, well, this is the technology that we were given, so this is what we must use. Type of thing. Like they didn't really want to evolve it themselves unless like they were handed like, okay, we have been given this new technology, let us use it. So there's no scientists, in that. And the motive I had is about pretty mid. They're, from what I recall, they seemed that they had a strong military and they weren't afraid to use it, but they would rather prefer hey, let's get along. Let's form an alliance. Let's get along. But if you don't, well, I'm gonna have Guido here break your legs. type of scenario. So
Yeah.
you know, but for me, that's just kind of where I had pretty much everything, but their adaptability was high to decent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, okay, and I guess I'll go next because the Dominion holds kind of a special place in my heart. I guess I don't know, like I love DS9 so much, and it's just a really just solid faction. Um, we've look like you talked about their military might, territory, their technology and adaptability. I think their adaptability is fairly high, mainly because look at all the different even the Cardassians was a part of the Dominion, so you've got the founders, like which were like the changelings, they were a part of it. The Vorta, the Jim Hadar. You've got all of this, like just all this power. The Jim Hadar, man, they're something. You know what I mean? They're pretty they're pretty tough. I'm just saying. You talk about fighters. The Jim Hadar are straight up fighters. And then you've got the changelings, which can be basically anything, obviously, our favorite science officer of DS9 is a changeling.
What?
So our science officer, sorry, our constable.
Yeah, our security officer.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry,
I
I
was gonna say our favorite science officer is Dax.
I know. I literally sorry. I'm sorry. I got security and okay. So, anyways, yes, he is a changeling, and I love him. Like one of my favorite actors. Rest in peace. But the whole thing is I feel like they're really high up there, and I feel like we just can't talk about that enough. Like, granted, yeah, they are. To be fair, I feel like that they're a major force to be reckoned with. No one could tell me otherwise. I mean, look, the
Otherwise.
Dominion. Thanks.
Otherwise,
The Dominion Wars were like the foundation of DS9 for a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like that went over like time. That didn't just like that didn't get wrapped up in a season. It was like there was time there, and then as the more and more that they went, the more and more it just literally really kept on going, and I really enjoyed that arc. So that being said, yeah, that's all I got to say.
that's it, huh?
That's it. Now it's up to you.
So when I look at the Dominion, and this is where I think opinions are going to very much slightly differ.
Yeah.
To me, the Dominion is the founders, is the changelings.
Yeah.
And here's why. Okay, and I can defend that fairly easily. The Dominion itself, yes, is like is basically the Federation of the Gamma Quadrant. When you think about it as a whole. However, when you really dig down into the Dominion, really the Dominion are the founders, because the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta are all genetically engineered beings that the founders created.
Mm-hmm.
They're not normally out there in nature in the wild. They were all created by the founders. So in that case, that puts in my opinion, that puts the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar as their military arm. The diplomacy comes in from the founders themselves. And the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta are genetically coded to not make a move without consulting with the founders. Okay.
True.
No matter how many other races are in the Dominion, the Founders are calling the shots. Period. So really, when you're ranking the Dominion, in my opinion, we're really kind of ranking the Founders. Again, that's just kind of me. So, with
I
that
have
being
a
said,
counter to that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, okay. So, you talk about like the Founders being, the Dominion, but that's like saying like, and yeah, I
the
know.
Federation.
Yes.
Do what?
Go ahead.
The
Say it again.
the Federation.
So Starfleet is the Federation. That's like saying that because, yes, we have a lot of different things. And see, Zombie and I are on the same page on this because he apparently he knew I was going there. But that's just like saying that because, yeah, granted, the Founders, genetically engineered them. However, they are their own people. They are, and they're just they know where to step in the line. They genetically are altered to or like created to serve the Founders, their needs and stuff. And that's I get that. But, I don't know. I think it's more than that. Granted, like I said, we have the Cardassians that were a part of them as well, and then not to mention who did we talk about before that? Was it the Nausicaans? No, who was that became part of the Breen?
The Breen.
We had the Breen that was a part of them as well. So we, yeah, it may have been like the Founders may be the big boss, but you've got all these other members that aren't, Founder related. So you've got other ones too. But yeah, I mean, I'm just naming the main ones. But yeah, I mean, that's my argument toward it because I feel like that they are more than just the Founders. The Founders are the main course, but you've got all these other factions that are with them.
And that's a fair argument, but at the same time, you also kind of make my argument for me too. If you want to, okay, and we could debate this for hours. I'm not going to say we're going to, go down this rabbit hole, but just as a counterpoint, if we say that the Dominion is the Federation, which is what I said earlier, the Federation Council is who drives the Federation.
Yeah, but the Federation Council is made up more of Starfleet than it is anybody else. It seems like you got the Vulcans on there and stuff like that, but of course the Vulcans are going to be on there because they're never mind. Pompous,
yeah, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, but yes, there is Starfleet on the Federation Council. But the Federation Council is what drives everything in the Federation. The Starfleet answers to the Council. All of the other member worlds ultimately answer to the Council. The Dominion is the same way. The Jem'Hadar and Vorta answer to the Founders. The Cardassians and the Breen and everybody else answer to the Vorta. The Founders. The Founders are the Federation Council in effect.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying we're rating the Dominion, I'll say the same thing when we're rating the Federation. We're rating the Federation Council. We're not really not necessarily the whole rest of the thing.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like I said, that's a rabbit hole that we could jump down for hours. And,
right.
And and neither of our opinions are wrong. Don't hear that.
Correct.
So, so anyway, going back to what we were saying. So the Dominion, we know that their military is fairly strong. It took quite a while for the Federation to adapt to the Jem'Hadar's weapons for protection. So we know that and we do know that the Jem'Hadar, I mean, really, if you think about it, the Jem'Hadar are just a Gamma Quadrant version of the Klingons. They will go into battle and die, and they don't care.
Mm-hmm. They just don't have honor in it. They just
right, yeah, because that's not part of what's coded into them. But they're
right.
They're on that level. So we know that their military is very strong. Their territory is friggin' huge. It's most, if not all, of the Gamma Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Their technology, it's good in the sense that they're able to genetically engineer and create creatures and stuff from scratch. We know
Yeah.
that their technology is strong because they have weaponry that defeats most of the Alpha Quadrant factions. But the Borg have strong weapons. So their technology, comparatively, I don't really know that it's ahead of anybody else. Their adaptability, yeah, they really don't adapt. They're used to, the founders themselves are pretty much used to, this is the way, this is what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to move forward. You could argue that their adaptability, though, is the fact of all the subterfuge that they use. Because as a changeling, they can be whoever they want. They use a lot of subterfuge to get their way,
Mhm.
and that's a huge arc in DS9.
Right.
Finding the changelings that are in the various positions. So adaptability relatively high. Motive, it's pretty much straightforward. We are going to conquer everyone and everything. I mean, it's very simple. Very simply, it's the same thing as the Borg. We are going
Right.
to conquer everyone and everything, and it is all ours. And that is our one driving force. That is it. That is what we want. We want to be in charge.
Mhm.
So their military is fairly high. Their territory is very high. Technology, pretty mid. Adaptability, mid to very to low. And their motive, I have actually fairly low because it's fairly straightforward
Yeah.
and fairly so.
So where do you rate them?
Overall, I have the Dominion as a B tier.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I had them rated as an A tier.
Same here. A.
So, with that, uh, mine, when it comes to my A, it would have been mainly between the two. So it'd be in front of the Romulans for me because they are well, to be fair, they were so much bigger of a threat for a full series than anyone else.
Hmm, that's fair.
You right? I mean, like
That's fair.
they so I'd give them, a regular A, not an A minus, or anything like that, but in front of the Romulans. So with that
Mine is
being
about
said,
the same.
about the same. So what do
Mhm.
you think? Like A minus, maybe behind the Romulans, like right, but in front of the Ferengi, since Raven's got B and we have A, that's kind of where that would equal out, right?
Yeah.
Do we all agree on that?
Hmm.
Okay. So there we go. We got our first one done. It only took us like 18 minutes. But anyways, so let's just jump straight into the next one, which is the Cardassian Empire. And this time I'm gonna let Raven do his thing and talk about that.
Cardassians. They are pretty much on point, at least in my opinion, with our data points. They are pretty much on point with most Alpha Quadrant um, factions. Their military is fairly even with in my opinion, it's not less than, but it's not really much stronger than, say like the Federations, the Romulans, and the Klingons. They're about equal with them. Territory, they have some territory, but it keeps shrinking. That's part of the reason they joined the Dominion, was they were trying to get territory back.
Right.
Their technology, again, pretty well on par with the rest of the Alpha Quadrant. I mean, they don't do anything really that's, it's not like they have a quantum singularity driving their starships like the Romulans do. Their adaptability leaves a little to be desired, in my opinion. They got very complacent um, after the Bajoran occupation,
Mm-hmm.
and once they started losing territory, they really scrambled around to try to figure out, how do we fit into the rest of the Alpha Quadrant. Um, because they really didn't know how to interact with the rest of the factions. They were so used to being it's us and us alone, and they really kind of scrambled and struggled trying to find their place in the Alpha Quadrant once they started losing power.
Yeah.
Their motives, that's kind of low to me because they kind of scrambled, so they didn't really. I don't really know that they knew what drove, other than survival of the Cardassian peoples. They were playing catch up so much. We don't really know what kind of drove them, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I kind of ranked that fairly low too.
Okay. Well, for me, you know what? I'll let Zombie go next first.
Okay. So, just to kind of lump everything together, I had them pretty much everything as mid. Just across the board. Because I like their federation. Oh my lord.
When that happened.
Wow.
Okay, look, so that's a
You think
fanfic
you
that I'm
know
writing.
somebody? No.
I'm writing this fanfic. No. So their military might is good. I had their territory being lower because, like you said, they just keep kind of losing it. Their technology is decent. Their adaptability is decent, and their motive is pretty straightforward. We want our territory back. They want to. I have really think they don't want to be the enemy, but they kind of also don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we don't want to be your guys' enemy. We want our territory back, but we have no. If you want us to fill that role, we're happy to oblige you. So, there you go. Short, sweet.
Well, yep.
I can see that. Yeah.
Look, to be fair, the Cardassians have a special place in my heart. I agree with like the mid tier stuff, like 100%. I agree with everything you guys said. And I know when I go last, it's more like, yeah, I agree with you guys. However, they'll always be known as the spoonheads to me because that's what I always called them.
Mm-hmm.
I always did. I called them the spoonheads. Like they look like they have a spoon, but, yeah, their military might is, I would say on par, with, throughout the Alpha Quadrant. Their territory is small because they were pushed back. I mean, come on, like, what is DS9 anyways, right? What kind of outpost was that, right? I mean, I'm serious. Like it's really cool.
Terok Nor?
Terok Nor.
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're asking what kind of an outpost that was?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, but that was a Cardassian outpost, right? Like before, like that's
yes,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before it was taken over, and Bajor like brought in the Federation and blah blah blah, and but,
I thought you were legit asking why was Deep Space Nine built.
Oh no.
Okay,
I was just saying
okay.
what kind of outpost was it, basically, like
okay.
origin.
I follow what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So I feel like their technology's not too bad. It's mid. Like Zombie said. Their adaptability, I don't feel like they adapt very well. I feel like they adapt just enough. But it's mid to low to me. And their motives are like self-preservation, to be honest. From my point of view, they are they joined the Dominion to try to make sure that they survived and that they could help out and push back and stuff like that. And hold on, sorry about that. You may hear a little barking in my background. I apologize. But yeah, to me, I think they're a B tier. That's what I'm saying. I'll be right back. I mean, you guys could have talked during that.
I was just getting ready to. I didn't know how long you were going to be gone.
No, that's all right. I can, do some editing magic. But anyways, yeah.
Huh.
So my outlook on it is they are a solid B tier. That is what I'm saying.
I have them as a high C.
Okay.
I actually have them. Oh, that's looking at the wrong one. C.
Ooh. So where C? I mean, to be fair, it's not going to really matter because if you have them as a high C, like that placement actually does make sense. So Raven, where did you place them in the C tier? Is it above the Gorn?
No. Well, before who?
Like we got the Gorn, the Breen, Species 8472, and the Syndicate.
Right. I would put them above the Syndicate and below 8472, even though I know that puts that about mid C tier.
Yeah.
The others are just, I think they rank a little bit higher in some other things and they're a little stronger. But being as, at least to me, the Cardassians are pretty well mid road. I'd say they go over Orion Syndicate. Now I don't know what you guys think.
I would agree with that.
Well, see, my B tier was above the Ferengi, so like it was high B. Yeah, like to be honest, I mean, in all honesty, they.
You know what? Okay, no, that's fair. We can make that work. We could actually put them ahead of the Undine because we know more about the Cardassians than we do the Undine.
Yeah.
And that factor we know more than the Breen too. But
we do. You're right. I mean, we do. I mean, in all honesty, too, we technically know more about them than we do
the Gorn.
So, and if we're going to use that as a way to kind of lay it out, maybe they are top of the C tier then.
You think so?
Zhombi?
Oh, I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, we're going to put the Cardassian Empire at C. There's a lot of C tiers. It's crazy.
That is surprising.
Yeah. And this brings us to the Terran Empire. And I am going to have who went first last? Oh, it was Raven. So Zhombi. Go ahead and talk about the Terran Empire.
For the Terran Empire, I had their military might and territory fairly high up there. Because from what I remember and know is that they had a lot of territory and they were very strong. I had their technology and adaptability about mid. And I think that's more just a case of I don't remember a whole lot about the Terran Empire other than they were a threat. So I don't really remember like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, they're a threat, but I don't, it's like, as far as all that's concerned. So, I had both their technology and adaptability as pretty mid.
Yeah.
And their motive I had as mid as well. Just because, I mean, it's pretty straightforward what their motive is, but it's nothing like new or original.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, you're just another faction that wants to, conquer everything. All right, got it.
Well, on my end, and I guess I'll go next. If you completed,
I am
okay. So again, with the special place on my heart is the Terran Empire because, like, I love the way they are. It's literally when you see, like, if some of you guys are watching don't know, which I'm assuming you all do, but the Terran Empire are basically a mirror universe of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the Confederation of Earth or whatever, and they have like the Imperial Starfleet, which is so cool because it's the evil version of the Federation, and
it's what Starfleet would have been if they were if Starfleet was Klingon.
yes. So
I mean, that's how I look at it.
Right. So, they like when you see people like Kirk and Spock and Bones and all them just like evil renditions of them. Like it was so cool to see that. Like it really came out of nowhere on that episode. And I loved it. Like I just absolutely loved it. Now, as their strength, I would put them on par with mostly the Federation. Like they've got, like, to me it's fair. I think their strength is pretty high. I mean, they're ruthless. So they just do their thing. Like, look, to be fair, their officers are promoted. It's basically like a Sith thing. You kill your master and you become the master. You kill your superior and you get promoted. That's kind of like how that is, right? They're big into torture. Their territory is rather large. From what I remember, right?
Yes.
Their technology, yeah, their technology is up there. Like I said, it would be on par, if not further, than the Federation. Because they do things a little different. Like I said, they're the evil version of them. So, and then their adaptability, I don't know about that. That's probably more mid for me. And their motive is very, very easy. It's conquering, and that's all they want to do. And then when they find out there's a mirror universe, what do? They try to do what they do best: conquer. like literally, like they try to put a foothold numerous times into the main universe. And to me, that's that can't be forgotten. That can't be forgetting, I tell you what. But anyways, but like I don't know, like I love factions like this, like it. Without factions like this, we wouldn't get to see that other side of the coin, that cool side of the pillow, because I love seeing good guys go bad. I can't help it, but that's me. All right, so now that I got mine out of the way, let's go with Raven real quick. What's up, Raven? Tell us.
Okay, hey, so the Terran Empire is, I agree with you, it is so cool because it is what the Federation Starfleet could have been it's the the dark version, right? And I always love playing the dark version of characters because it's always so much fun.
Yes.
But the Terran Empire had a bit of a rocky, from what I remember, go at it. So yeah, they were first introduced in TOS as the straight identical mirror universe to ours.
With mustaches.
With mustaches. Right? Spock and a beard and mustache? That was amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God, that was amazing, right?
Like, that's the only difference is like, okay, well, sure. Go ahead, sorry.
Right. And for Spock, it was. No, and see, that was the cool part about it, since we're jumping down this rabbit hole now with both feet. That was the cool part about it, is Spock was the same in both universes, the only difference being that he had a beard and mustache in the mirror universe. Okay.
Right.
So I thought, and that's why I said Spock was like the greatest character during that. But anyway, so we know that the Terran Empire came about, and they were all talked about in TOS. They were also, the mirror universe was actually also brought up in Enterprise. There was that one episode where they went through on the Defiant and basically took over the Defiant and became and they brought back all the old sets. That was a really cool episode. Anyway,
Anywho,
next time you see the Terrans though is in Deep Space Nine, and it's been a couple of 100 years at this point now. They have lost their power. They have lost everything they had. The alliance of the Bajorans and the Klingons and the Cardassians and everybody else have kind of run roughshod over the Terran Empire. So they are really at their low right now. They've lost all their power. They're a rebel force. It's really, really bad for the Terrans, right? After that, you don't really hear anything about the mirror universe really until Star Trek Online. And one of the expansions in there may have been I can't really say that there may have been stuff in novels and things like that. I didn't really read a whole lot of the novels, so I don't really know. I'm just knowing that in the TV and movie versions, you don't really hear about the Terran Empire until Star Trek Online. That was my next exposure to them, and that was an expansion in Star Trek Online. You actually played through moving between the Prime universe and the Mirror universe and working with people from the Terran Empire, which was so cool because Janeway from the freaking Terran Empire was amazing. Okay,
oh my gosh, yes, you're not wrong.
Oh my god, she was so awesome.
She had a mustache and goatee. No, I'm kidding.
No, she didn't have a mustache and goatee, but oh my god, her character was just it was just
Right. And I agree.
And Mirror Universe Voyager was awesome. But regardless, okay. And by that point, they had come back into power. They were doing much better and things like that. So that's really kind of where we are, the Terran Empire. So having said that, here's where I kind of look at them at. Their military might went up and down, but we know for the most part it has been fairly strong. I would dare say a little bit stronger than what the Federation had, only because of the fact of what their morals were. Exactly. No, you're exactly right. That's actually the word I was going to use, is morals. Because of their morals, their military was a little bit stronger than the Federation. Their territory, they had a lot of territory. We know it was at least the same size as the Federation. We don't really know, though, how much more of it they conquered. So it could be about on par with the Federation there.
Yeah.
Their technology, again, I think is slightly ahead of actually, and I'm using the Federation as the basis because they're the evil counterparts to the Federation. Their technology, I'd say, would be a little bit further ahead of the Federation, but again, evil and morals pushes you to do a lot of those kind of things. Their adaptability, though, ranked actually fairly low for me because once they were taken over by the Alliance, they didn't really get a whole lot of traction and be able to figure out how do we get ourselves out of this. And we don't know what the turning point was on how they managed to overthrow the Alliance. We don't know if it was a Rebel Alliance, Galactic Empire, Star Wars kind of thing that finally did it, or if the Alliance just finally threw their hands up and said, you know what, we're done here. Here's your sandbox. We're going home. We don't know. Their motives, though, fairly straightforward. Conquer, destroy, kill, and during the time when they were under control of the Alliance, survival. Straight up. Okay. Also during STO, during the expansion, and I can't remember the name of the expansion. I can see the icons for it, but I can't remember the name of the expansion. During that time too, they were also very much into, while they were strong and back to the levels that they were in TOS, they were still in survival mode because of at least in STO, Wesley's takeover of the Empire.
Yeah.
So their motive actually ranked fairly, they're not doing anything different, so they actually ranked fairly mid to low for me as well.
Okay, so overall, where would you place them?
I actually have them as an A tier.
Okay. Zhombi?
So it's interesting. So okay, so I don't know how this worked out, but I have them as D.
What?
Whoops.
So like I said, I did all my ratings to average it out, and then I give my personal opinion. And I'm not that big of a fan of the Terran Empire. So,
okay. I mean, and that's
Okay,
fair. You know,
that is fair.
we did say personal opinion was going to be a big part of these,
Mhm.
in ranking these. So I can't argue with your tier ranking, because if that's what if personal opinion pulled it down, absolutely. So no, that's completely fair.
Okay. So on my end, I also rank them as an A. And again, I rank them fairly high as an A, and behind the Borg again, mainly
Yes.
because they are they're bad. Like they're awesome. Like they're just a presence. So yeah, I wasn't gonna rank them S, but I was gonna rank them,
No.
and I don't think they're as good as the Borg, but I feel like they're right behind the Borg. Um, and Raven, you brought out some good points about how they did lose power for a while, and granted, you can't count the new shows because they're all prequels, so you can't count that stuff. And I don't think they're brought up in Picard, so
They are not, and I actually don't even remember if they were there.
TNG didn't have them in it.
TNG didn't have it. I can't remember if they were in Strange New Worlds or Discovery.
They're in Discovery.
Are they in Discovery? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
that's how we got.
Oh,
That's how we got the Queen.
that's right. No,
Yeah, that's how we got what's her face, the mirror version of what's her name, the captain of the first Discovery.
oh,
I can't think of her name,
yeah.
but you know who I'm talking
I know
about.
I know who you're talking about. You're right. You're right. Nope. They did that. They do show up in Discovery. You're right.
Yeah.
But I know they're not in Strange New Worlds. So
Yeah, well, I mean, besides her, I think she may not be in there, but she's going to be prominent in a new series coming up. So, anyways, other than that, so where with 2 A's and a D, I've got they're pretty fairly high A's. So where do we place that?
In my opinion, even with high A's, I think that the D kind of pulls them down into at least a B tier.
I'd agree with the B.
Yeah, and I would say probably a lower B, which upsets me, but behind the Ferengis.
Behind the Ferengi. Yep.
All right. Well, that breaks my heart, but I'll go with it. And we'll do them there. And so yeah, that brings us to the conclusion of this. And as we talked about, like, it should be showing up now, the tier list, as you should be able to see it and see where our rankings are. Let us know if you agree or disagree with anything that we said. If you want to know more about From the Ashes, just click on that link in the description below, and it'll serve all your From the Ashes needs. I definitely want to thank Raven for being here, for setting aside time to do this, and I want to say the same to Zhombi. I appreciate you, brother, for always being here. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the final episode where we really talk about just one. And I feel like we set aside a half hour at least to figure out all of our talk about the Federation. So until then, guys, again, live long and prosper. Have a good week, and we'll see you then.